Good afternoon. Just before 1, 2 days after the catch. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that was involved in the giveaway. We did have a winner in one of my previous videos, 100 milliliters. This treats 40 liters of the Hive Alive product, so thank you for all of those. If you missed it, sorry about that, but subscribe, hit that notification because there's going to be more giveaways. So anyways, thank you, because we're approaching 500 subscribers and I really appreciate it. A couple things about this catch. I moved it the night of the catch. Some people say you shouldn't do that, you should let it sit. I don't have a problem with moving it the night of the catch or the next day after. I have let them sit a week, but the problem with that, or a week or longer, almost 2 weeks, 10 days, is they start to draw. See, this is the frame in my trap, and my bait comb is in the back, and they start to draw a comb. And look at almost all this area they can draw a comb. They draw it on my bait comb. They ignore the other frames, whether they're starter strips or wax foundation. They, in the past, have ignored the frames in the front and drawn comb on the bottom if I leave the trap up too long. I don't like that, because any cutting, any rubber banding is waste. You can't get it all. Especially with a swarm caught the first week in July here in Michigan. These swarms are super vulnerable. Chance of survival when you get towards the end of July starts to get less and less. So I move it the night of. I move it as soon as I can. I have not had an absconding because of the move. The other thing that people like to say is, don't move it till you see pollen going in. Actually, pollen just went in. More pollen. I don't pay attention to that either. I judge whether the swarm is in there or not. If the swarm is in there, it's ready to be moved. One caveat: if I was running a swarm trap that did not have a bait comb, so if I was trying to catch with plastic foundation, no drawn comb, or starter strips, I'd probably leave it. I would probably leave it to give it long enough for them to start to draw a comb and start to lay eggs. One of the other things, the reason why I like to move it quickly, is because the foragers haven't gotten acclimated to the area. They're not familiar with their surroundings enough that this is the new home. Of course, they're familiar with their surroundings because they came from a swarm 2 miles away, but this is their new home. So the day they move in, everybody's offloading. If this is a big one, you're going to see that the bait comb frame is full of nectar, pounds of nectar. They're not ready to start foraging. Not everybody can offload at the same time. They got to wait in line to offload all that nectar. So when the first day when they move in, and even the second day, they're not acclimated to the hive mind, how everything's supposed to be functioning. So I take that opportunity to move them. To each his own. Some people believe that you should leave it up. I don't like wasting comb. I don't like wasting their effort. I don't like wasting nectar. I don't want to cut brood. All of it. Especially this late in the season. I just don't want to jeopardize their work at this vulnerable stage in their life. So anyways, that's my thoughts on when to move traps. Have I left them for 10 days to 2 weeks? Yes. And I will tell you that when I've left them for 10 days or 2 weeks, their temperament is different. If you get them when they're early and they're still in their swarm temperament, as we all know, most swarms in a bivouac or in a ball in a tree are very docile. You see people handling them all the time with no gloves. I use, again, that opportunity to move them. If I left them 10 to 14 days and I make a mistake while moving them, or I can't get them all in there, it's no fun, because they're protecting it. So anyways, let's see what we got here. All right, So here we go. Couple ants, couple earwigs. This is a big one, they won't last. All right, so here we go. This is the view looking down. Bee faces, bee eyes facing us on every single frame and the walls. So this is a big one. So starting from the front, and again, you can see that I'm not going at them with smoke right away. One day's time. Look at the comb. My apologies, 2 days. That's the last frame. That's the one that normally is worked last. Two days time again. Look at that comb. If I left this there for 10 or 14 days, they'd have these frames drawn out and comb on the bottom of these frames. This is what happens with the big ones. Two days time, full frame. When doing the install, it's about time. It's about doing it quickly. I don't want to screw around. I don't want to cut stuff off. I don't want to have to rubber band. They're vulnerable. They could abscond. So I don't want that comb. 2 days time, look what they've drawn. I'm actually concerned that there's going to be comb on the bottom of the bait comb. They're already testy. I mean, do I want to be cutting comb, doing a cutout, rubber banding stuff? If I needed to, I will, but it's all about the best interest of the bees, in my opinion, and what makes them more successful and more comfortable at this stage. This one is drawn out. So the smoker's out. Smell of smoke is sometimes just as effective, so. Still a lot of bees in the inside. This is a good sized swarm. I'm really happy with this. So one of the things I'm gonna do here is, because the sun rises to what would be your right, I'm gonna slide all these frames over except for one is gonna be on the end as a starter strip. Then all of these, and then the other 4 on the other side. The reason is, when that sun comes up in the morning, I want it heating this colony as soon as possible. And if I keep them to the side that the sun rises on, it'll warm up faster. As I explained in a previous video, I'm concerned about how much sunlight this location is going to get. So I'm going to try and help them out. Everything's going to be to the right where the sun rises, so that it warms quicker so they can get on with their day faster. One of the things I forgot to do was label these frames. If you're just starting out, I recommend that you come up with a system to somehow keep track of when your frames went into service. Eventually, if you're in this long enough, you will need to cull frames. Good luck trying to figure out how old they are if you don't have them labeled. So any frames that I don't have labeled were from my first 2 years of beekeeping. So I say label them now, and then you won't be in my situation where you got ones that aren't labeled and you're not exactly sure of when they went into service. So anyways, like we said, one on the end. In my opinion, this is just me, now's not the time to look for the queen. You got one task right now, and that's to get them in here safely. If you've seen my installs in the past, you've seen that I've banged the bees out that were still in the box. I'm not going to do that this time. First of all, I don't have a hive body, an empty hive body to put on here, which I like to use as an oversized funnel, just to get them going in the right direction. But I don't have it, so I'm gonna let them march in on their own, which is always cool. So we're just gonna let them hang out, check them in a little while. I don't see any good fanning at the entrance yet, but if the queen's in there soon, there will be. And it's just amazing how all these bees will go in there. So you don't really have to bang them out if you got the time. You can just let it sit. And then I'll put an entrance reducer on here, something that reduces it down to just a couple inches. You got to remember 21 days before you're first born. So the population is going to decrease until that day, and then it will ramp up again and eventually surpass the population of the swarm that moved in. That's our goal, that's our hope. So pretty cool for a late season catch. It's a big one. I'm not going to say that they don't have their work cut out for them. They certainly do. And I'm not going to be feeding them right away. So they're on their own, as I've said before. You know, my swarm's got to stand on their own. I'm not going to give them a brood frame from an existing colony, a proven colony, a colony in honey production. I'm not going to give them anything from a swarm that I caught this year. The best I would do is if I had a queenless situation of one of them, the one I caught this year, or even an existing colony, or this one, I would combine. Because the queenless one, having to produce a new queen, if I gave them a frame of eggs, or even if they were trying, getting her mated, getting her laying, and getting to the firstborn date, just too long for the state of Michigan. So that's one thing I would do, is I would combine. So anyways, I guess we'll just leave it at that. I appreciate you watching. Again, those that were in the giveaway, thank you. Those that missed the giveaway, there's more. Hope your bees are well. Hope you're catching. Thanks for watching.